I don't want to turn this into a debate on hydrogen fuel cells because I just think that they're extremely silly. Um, if you're going to pick an energy storage mechanism, hydrogen is an incredibly dumb one to pick. So then obviously it doesn't make sense. That will become apparent in the next few years.
Wow, Elon, you don't have to antagonize fuel cells. They're only a potentially viable competitor with a growing industry interest globally. But what even is a fuel cell? And why is Tesla's biggest cheerleader so threatened by it? For that, you need to go back to the basics. And it all starts with a not so convoluted story far, far away. Now, imagine you have a proton and an electron. They're best friends. And then one morning, Catalyst shows up and tells Proton, "Proton, there's a sick party over at Fuel Cells. Stop by, you're a party animal." That afternoon, Proton tells Electron about this. They both get excited and decide to go. Upon arriving, there's a bouncer named Electrolyte standing in front of the door, and today, he doesn't seem very lenient. Proton and Electron eventually arrive at the door. Electrolyte looks at them and allows Proton to pass. But before Electron can go, Electrolyte stops Electron and says, No, you can't go. Nobody knows you around here. Your popularity isn't big enough." Before Proton can do anything, Catalyst comes out and takes him inside and says, "I can't believe you took that loser. Come on, let's have some fun." Electron hears this, becomes enraged. Best friend status has been terminated. But Electron won't let it end this way. No, she has to get inside because turning back home means Catalyst was right and she despises Catalyst. So, Electron walks around the block to avoid suspicion, makes her way back and notices the window has been left unlocked. Naturally, Electron sneaks over and climbs inside. Electron walks around the house before noticing Proton. He's by himself. Perfect, thinks Electron as she makes her way over. The confrontation builds and they bicker. Eventually, Oxygen notices and walks over. He's great with people and manages to diffuse the tension. Proton explains that Electrolyte latched onto him and wouldn't let him go. Only now Proton was finally free and he was making his way outside to go visit Electron. Electron sees her misunderstanding and apologizes. All three laugh before a different bouncer spots Electron and kicks them out. They all look at each other. This looks like the beginning of a beautiful friendship. Brushing aside that horrible plotline, fuel cells work relatively similar to this tale. If you look at the classic simple fuel cell, within the cell you contain an electrolyte solution and two electrodes. The two electrodes are where the fuel is applied. At the anode, oxidation takes place where a fuel is ionized and separated from its electron. Usually this is hydrogen, but it can be other fuels too. The reduction reaction takes place at the cathode, where the electron is taken back and the two half reactions are completed. Usually oxygen is used, but it is not limited to it. In order to help these reactions take place, a catalyst is coated to the electrode. These catalysts tend to be expensive. Upon ionizing the electrolyte, only allows the ion to move through it to the other electrode. The electron needs to move there too. In order to do so, it must travel through a wire, where a current is thus formed and able to be harvested. A byproduct is made with the electrochemical reaction, usually water, where it then needs to be taken out of the system. Through this explanation, it is shown that fuel cells are a type of electrical energy output source. It behaves like a battery and combustion engine, in where the fuel cell is an open system with both a fuel supply and cell where the reactions take place, similar to the combustion engine, but it also shares a very important characteristic to batteries, where it is able to convert chemical energy directly into electrical energy. This puts fuel cells in a very interesting middle ground. Utilizing this unique trait, fuel cells provide key advantages worth getting excited over. Efficiencies are generally 40 to 60%, and with heat power cycles, it can reach up to 90%. The cell being separated from the fuel means that it allows for easy scaling, especially for larger sizes. Emissions are very low, and most importantly, mass energy density is one of the highest out there. Now, I hate to spoil the party, but not everything is great around fuel cells. As everyone's favorite critic, Elon Musk points out, the fuel itself just is harder to produce. That is, that fuel availability is a major hindrance due to hydrogen being the most popular fuel type. Its low volumetric density make it very difficult to store, needing high pressurized tanks that are also very large. From catalyst to electrolyte, fuel cells are oftentimes very expensive due to the components needed to create the reaction. It is susceptible to environmental poisons, and alternative fuels often need reforming. Fuel cells come in many types. To name a few, there are phosphoric acid fuel cells, polymer electrolyte membrane fuel cells, alkaline fuel cells, molten carbonate fuel cells, solid oxide fuel cells, and many more. A type of alkaline fuel cell was actually used on NASA's Apollo missions. Polymer electrolyte membrane fuel cells, or PEMFC, are utilized in automotive cars, especially with growing interest in larger vehicles like buses, trucks, where space is not a large factor like in passenger vehicles. Did you know the molten carbonate fuel cells produce carbon dioxide that gets recycled to the system, make it one of the few fuel cells not susceptible to carbon monoxide poisoning? To my personal opinion, PEMFC are something to get excited about due to their application in portable devices and transportation. They also have the highest power density out of all the fuel cells discussed. And with that, thanks for watching.